So, it's been really cold.
How cold is it?
It's so cold that Chairman Wheeler of the FCC was seen with his hands in his own pockets.
Last week we did a video with Tyler from Mayflower Electronics about killing your gaming headset and putting together your own headset. So what we've decided to do, and this is all thanks to Tyler, he's donating these things, we're going to be giving away an AKG 701 Quincy Jones Edition set of headphones. These things have a very neutral frequency response sound, extremely clean. And we're going to couple that together with a Mod Mic version 4 so that you guys can have a really, really nice gaming headset there. All you need to do to enter is go ahead and click on the bottom of the screen. That'll take you over to our website where the contest is running. There's a lot of different ways to enter, so yeah, best of luck. Now, since it's the end of the year, Tyler also decided to give our members $15 off. Just go to their website, pick out what you want, and it has to be over $100 bucks, but most of these items are, over $100 bucks. So just go ahead, pick out the items you want, pick out some headphones. They got the new 1/4-inch jack on the O2 amp DAC combos. And then they got 3 different versions of the headphones, and you guys can watch our video to find out what each version of those sounds like. But all you have to do, go there, put in Tech 15 when you check out, and yeah, that's it. Enjoy. All right, guys, what's up? This is going to be a crazy episode of the Tech. I think, are we both sick? I'm kind of feeling, I don't know.
I'm recovering.
You're recovering?
Last week I was all sniffles, and everybody was like, "My God, edit that out!" So I'm just really sorry. Things happen.
You kidding me? I went through just. For those people who always complain about the sniffles, I go through and I spend about 2 hours amplifying every sniffle. I just go in and drag the volume up right there every single time. So keep complaining, guys. Keep complaining. I'll keep twisting. That's what I do, Anyway, speaking of I have no segue, but we got new stuff in the store. Some of you guys have been requesting stuff that like the long sleeve shirts, and some people requested white, but we can't do white because we're too cool for that. So we did natural cotton, So it's just like the natural color of the cotton. Anyway, we got a few more shirts in there, some more hoodies. They got this color as well, and a bag. This is a handmade bag from Rickshaw. So there you go. It'll fit 15-inch laptop. It also fit my 17-inch MSI laptop. I've got the GS60. It fit that one, but I had to take out the laptop sleeve, so it was just kind of in there. It fit, but I wasn't very happy with it. But anyway, 15-inch laptop or lower, you're just fine. Very nice handproof, waterproof components and that sort of thing. So we've got that. And we're also going to have, very soon coming up over here on this side of the screen, some Chrome backpacks and messenger bags. So if you're familiar with Chrome Industries, not Chrome the web browser, nothing to do with that. Check out Chrome Industries. We're going to have a few of their things in pretty soon. And our prices are going to be about the same, except I'll have like either some embroidery or some screen printing or something on them. So very cool stuff. I'm hoping you guys like it. And if you don't, go ahead and send me hate mail. Again, the email is neckbeard@techsyndicate.com. All right, let's go ahead and talk about what's happening this week. New York has decided to build 10,000 internet pylons for free public Wi-Fi. They're going to be replacing a lot of their existing infrastructure as far as some of their phone booths are going to be going away, and they're putting these pylon ends. One thing that's interesting about these pylons, they're saying they're not going to use any tax money. So this is just purely going to be paid for by the advertisements you can see there. So there'll be 10,000 new advertising spots all over New York City, and above and beyond that, they're saying that the speeds of these Wi-Fi hotspots, it's going to be gigabit. They haven't really said how they're going to do it or what they're going to do. They're saying gigabit speeds over all of these access points. I'm not sure how strong they're going to be as far as reaching if you're on the 40th floor or whatever. I imagine if you're up there on the 40th floor, you probably got a nice swanky office, and you probably have a fiber line or just a gigabit connection or at least 100 megs coming into your spot. But a little bit, we need some more details, but could be an interesting way to send Wi-Fi all over the city. I'm wondering if this is going to create more cord cutting in that area. I don't know.
It's possible, but I kind of doubt it'll lead to cord cutting, because there's probably not going to be a lot of bandwidth available to the end user. I mean, if it's an 802.11 AC access point, yeah, gigabit uplink makes sense. That's the standard on AC access points. Super high-end, top-of-the-line AC access point. Let's get realistic here. We're talking about 30, 35 wireless clients, maybe. and that's at the really high end. Typical, I would say, is probably more like about 10 or 12 active clients. So it's pretty ambitious, but it'll be interesting to see how that sort of comes to fruition. Because, don't forget, Google did wireless in the Bay Area, a few years ago. It's not AC, but it's pretty terrible. And Google has sort of asked the city for help to make it less terrible, but it still sort of languishes in terribleness. And so I have a feeling this will probably end the same way, but I hope it doesn't.
The other thing to think about is that, people don't have wireless AC devices. There's only a couple of phones out there that even have AC, so it's not like they're going to even be able to take advantage fully of these units if they are wireless AC. So who knows? I'm hoping that they're going to think about some of these things and work out some of the problems and issues and make it so that more than 30 people can connect. Because if there's 10,000 of these in the city and you got 30 people on each, that's not going to cover the whole city, not even by a stretch, so I don't know. Interesting. Well, no, I got this great idea for firefighters. Instead of putting them in a truck that's full of water, why don't we strap them to a rocket that's full of gasoline and have them fly into the fire? That's a great idea, huh? So what's going to happen here is there's jetpacks and firefighters and police officers are going to have access to these first, so they can just like swoop in and stop the criminals, because nobody will see that thing coming. There's a guarantee that no one will see that coming. I don't know. This could actually be an okay deal as far as flying up above and assessing the damages and that sort of thing. I don't think that a firefighter is actually going to strap this thing on and try to fight a fire. That's just silly. But I'm not sure what the police officers could do with this. Maybe they could fly over. I know exactly what they could do. They could fly over crowds at riots and shoot tear gas down onto the crowds. Perfect. It's great. Glad I thought of it. You guys can use it. Police officers, go ahead. Great ideas, right? Anyway, I don't know. There's got to be some good applications here. I'm just naming off all the terrible ideas I'm having, but there's got to be a few good applications.
I'm sure someone will think of something far more evil than we have. It's just...
Yeah. I don't know, it looks like fun. Maybe I can get one. I wouldn't mind having one. All right, there's something interesting.
The pressurized water packs. I mean, you've seen those at like the water parks where you've got a jet pack, but it's actually pressurized water on your back. Now that would be something for a firefighter.
That would be pretty cool. He could just like hover above the fire, but he's going to be. The problem with being up there is if he's hovering above the fire and shooting water straight down, he's going to get just killed with smoke. Just smoke's going to go all over the place. So he'd have to have a smoke mask and all kinds of things. He's going to lose his visibility. It would be rough. Sure that
insurance companies would go for that, because it would be cheaper for insurance companies to fund the water-powered jetpacks for firefighters, because then they could deny insurance to people claiming fire and be like, well, it was waterlogged damage from the firemen and not the actual fire that damaged your stuff, so we're not gonna pay
don't they
your
already
insurance.
do that anyway? I mean, kind of, maybe.
Well, but see, they'll have with enough water pressure to keep a firefighter aloft. There's a lot more water than they normally have, and so now it's going to be like Noah's flood proportions of water, and they're going to be like, well, you didn't have insurance for that.
Now, there's an interesting talk going on Reddit, and I kind of wanted to talk about it here. This is just a hypothetical question. If Amazon gave you $5,000 a year and 5 free Amazon Echoes, would you allow them to anonymously collect your audio data for marketing purposes? And the reason I wanted to bring this up is if you guys go down here to the comments, it's unbelievable how many people on Reddit here are willing to sell out for $5,000. $5,000, and they are just totally like, yeah, $5,000, you guys can crawl up my butt, you guys can watch me have sex with my girlfriend. $5,000, sure thing, man. That's enough to buy like pizzas for the next, I don't know, few months anyway, right? It depends on where you buy pizzas, I guess, but Tombstone pizza is enough for 5 years. It's great. So the Amazon Echo, if you guys have missed the Amazon Echo, I'll go ahead and click on it here. It's this new device that is kind of like, imagine Siri, but maybe a little better than Siri, in a tube form, sitting on a table. Go ahead and, there it is. Show the damn thing. Stop showing the lifestyle stuff. Look how happy this family is. There it is. It's sitting on a table. And then you can talk to it, and it's got this special technology that allows it to hear anything in the room. And you know, of course, they tried to address the issue of like, wait a minute, this thing's always listening to me. So one of the people in the video was like, whoa, is this thing always listening to me? And the response was like, no, it doesn't listen all the time, but it listens for like a keyword, like, you know, you name it and then you call it like, hey, Janice, and it's like, yes, what do you want? And it goes on from there. So, Wendell, would you take $5,000 to put one of these in your house and allow it to collect data on you for the next 5 years?
Oh, hell no.
Well, I feel like we're in this position now where it's like all you old fogies are just afraid of technology and you don't want to move forward with the world, and these are the things that are going to happen. There's no way around it. If you're going to be in the modern world, you're going to have to get used to this sort of technology, and this is what people want because it makes their lives so much easier. These devices that are in the home, if you need to know how to spell pterodactyl, you can just ask this thing. So I feel like that technology is something that everyone wants. Everyone wants a personal assistant. Everyone wants a device that they can say, hey, set a wake-up call for me. Hey, plan a meeting. Hey, can you remind me to get some stuff at the store? Hey, how do you do this? Hey, can you play some rock and roll music? That kind of stuff. The people want that. But the whole intrusiveness of the thing and the fact that it's there as an assistant to you, but as far as the companies behind the scenes go, that's not why it's there. It is there to monitor you and to collect information so that they can use it for marketing purposes. And I can already see the NSA just staring at this thing and being like, good, yes, excellent, we need this. So,
yeah, it's totally going to happen. I mean, it totally will happen.
Is it possible to make something like this that is connected to the internet, connected to a search engine, connected to Wolfram Alpha or something like that in the back end, but otherwise is private just for you? Is it possible to have something like that? Or would you have to download Wolfram Alpha onto your own private storage and then just have an internal device? I mean, because I would like to have something like this. It would be kind of cool. I don't think that it would be wise to use it for many things because we'll have the whole situation we have right now with our cell phones where, 20 years ago, everybody knew everybody's phone number. Everybody had like 100 phone numbers stored in their brain. Now I don't even know my father's phone number because the only thing I know is how to get to my father's phone number. My brain only remembers the information it needs to get the other information. My brain only knows that, hey, if I want to remember how tall Mount Everest is, you don't need to remember the exact, number. All you need to do is remember what to put into Google. So I'm afraid that this device is going to make it so that we have less knowledge stored in our brains, and all we remember is the things that we need to ask the device to get that information. So that's my other worry. I don't want it to become something like that. I want it to be augmented life without, destroying our, ability to recall information on our own. Am I worrying for no reason here?
Well, I mean, you kind of give a lot of the same information to Google with your Google searches and that sort of thing, but the always-on audio is a dangerous thing. They should not be allowed to collect the always-on audio data. I could see maybe collecting the query because, is that much different
say that
than
they're
a Google
not.
search?
They say that they're not collecting anything like that. They say that, the device is there. And of course, the thing is that it is always listening because it's always listening for that key word. But
are they listening for other things that are keywords? Like, how many times do they mention Kellogg's? And it's like, yes, we can sell that data.
You know what I'm going to do?
Yes.
I'm going to get one of these things, and the only thing I'm going to talk about when I'm in the room with this thing is hemorrhoids. Just oh my God, my hemorrhoids again. They're just getting really out of hand. I really got to stop doing this. I got to change my lifestyle or something. But I'm never going to talk to the device. I'm just going to have it in the room and just keep talking about it. And then I'm going to keep going to Amazon to see if they start recommending Preparation H or something, and then I'll know that it's listening.
Going to happen.
It's probably going to happen. And then it'll be really embarrassing because, one of your friends will come over and use your Amazon account and there'll be like all kinds of ungodly stuff on there. And it'll be like, man, your Amazon search history must be interesting. What do you got going on here, dude? Is it something you want to talk about? I'm like, no, not really. And then you'll throw the thing away as soon as they leave and be like, damn it, Amazon. Anyway.
Why, Amazon? Why do you do this to me? Does it have an incognito mode? Can we have an incognito mode for these kinds of searches? Because that would be kind of interesting.
I don't know. I just don't know if I trust the companies behind this. Amazon is interesting, and Amazon seems to be doing relaxed and groovy things. Google is interesting and seems to be doing groovy things, but at the end of the day, they're all about their profit and not about the users. So
True.
They need the users, and they need to give the users a good, happy experience. So that's why it is good for us. But in the long run, that kind of stuff can be dangerous. Building your house on somebody else's property always drives me crazy. I don't know. I want one of these things, but I want my own private version of it. There's got to be like a self-installed version of something like this. All right. Anyway, let's go on and talk about Kim Dotcom. It is ridiculous. The U.S. government is still trying to get their hands on him. They are still trying to grab this guy. So right now, they've branded him as a fugitive, and they've been filing, more and more stuff just to try to extradite him to the USA. And you know what? In all of this stuff, one of the things that I think is the most interesting, number one, a fugitive is someone who's fleeing, and he's not fleeing. What he's doing right now is he's whenever they submit a file at the courthouse or submit a paper at the courthouse or something, he submits a counterclaim. I don't think fugitives do that. I think fugitives, at least from watching the movie with Harrison Ford, they grow a beard, and then they shave, and then they go impersonate someone, and then they go hide in in the sewer or something. They live with some Polish grandmother and pay cash. That's not what Kim Dotcom's doing. He's actually fighting this stuff. The other thing that's really interesting about all of this, when you stand back and look at it, and no one seems to be talking about this, Kim Dotcom, they're fighting to extradite him to the USA. He has never in his life stepped foot on U.S. soil. That blows my mind. I never even thought of that. Like, hey, we want to try this guy in U.S. courts for violating U.S. law. He's never been to the USA.
Well, it's it's not as if he's a fugitive in New Zealand. He's still operating within the New Zealand legal system to not be extradited. And so it seems a little disingenuous here that they're saying, oh, well, he's a fugitive because he's not here yet. And it's like, well, does New Zealand not matter? I mean, have we gotten that brazen with how the U.S. treats other countries' borders? Because last time I checked, New Zealand was a sovereign nation. I mean, maybe not. Maybe that's all just a facade, but maybe there's more to that than I thought.
I've always wondered, like, why they go after him so hard when they go after the guys in the Pirate Bay, but they didn't destroy the website like they did with Mega Upload. So it seems like they've been attacking him even harder, and he was trying to run a legitimate business. I mean, it was a business that was just as legitimate as Dropbox or Apple's File Locker or whatever the hell. There's all these different services. Google Drive. These all do pretty much the exact same thing that Mega Upload did. It's just that Mega Upload, for some reason, developed a reputation for having, copyrighted materials. I think that people probably use all those other services to transfer copyrighted materials as well. Is it just that Kim Dotcom is too flamboyant and they've decided to make an example out of him? I think that might be what it is, but this seems way out of hand. It's just they need to leave him alone and just go away.
It seems like there are curveballs going on here with respect to, because it seems like he's operating within the parameters of the law and he's got lawyers, on his side. But there have been just enough shenanigans here that it's like, I mean, are strings being pulled? Is something strange going on? So if something weird happens, you should look for things like, I don't know, the lawyer suddenly quitting for no apparent reason, and things that had already been established in case law, them changing their minds is like, well, we're going to let you do this, but now we're going to change our mind, and then you have to do something else. And so if you look for those kinds of things, there may be some sort of backroom shenanigans going on trying to deal with this, which is not, I mean, that's not the rule of law. That's not the rule of law at all. And that's not how a sovereign nation behaves. But if you see that, then there may be some hanky-panky going on in the background. And, you know, like or hate .com, you know, personally, I think that he probably is a pirate and his business probably is predicated on, you know, doing all this stuff with copyright. But, I mean, aren't most American CEOs criminals anyway? Isn't any CEO of any sufficiently large organization basically sociopathic? I mean, isn't that the problem with corporate structure? So I don't know that he's any more or less sociopathic than, say, Monsanto CEO or,
well, yeah,
or
but
the Pfizer
see,
CEO.
The problem is that, you know, everyone's taking biscuits from the American people, and he took a biscuit off of one of their plates. That's the problem right there. So they're like, oh, can't do that. You know, they got that like angry dog thing. They start like flaring up and everything. Anyway, all right, let's take a look at the new Nokia. Let's go ahead and, I'm curious to know what you guys think about the Kim Dotcom thing. So let us know in the comments. I know a lot of you guys really hate him mainly because of his flamboyance and his cockiness, but I think that's a little beside the point. So let us know what you guys think about him in the comments. And now let's go ahead and take a look at the new Nokia. They just made a huge announcement. They are releasing a tablet, and the new N1 tablet, and it's going to be based upon Android, not the Windows. So the Windows, I sounded like an old fogey right there. Those boys that got the Windows on their device thing, they're running it. So yeah, here's what's different. Of course, they sold a large portion of their business to Microsoft, and they agreed not to release anything as far as phones go until 2016 that is a non-Microsoft OS. But they no longer have their own manufacturing facility, so what they're doing is using Foxconn. And I've got a really bad feeling about this, because it's the reason you bought a Nokia before was it was built like a tank. It may not have been the most technologically advanced or the fastest, even though it was usually pretty cool, but those things were built like tanks. So now that they're using Foxconn, they're going to be no different than Apple and half of the other companies that are out there. In fact, this device looks an awful lot like an Apple, probably more so than some of the Samsung devices out there. And they're very clear that they're not trying to copy Apple. They're making their own design for their own products. But, you know, it'll still be Nokia design, but it's going to be manufactured by Foxconn. And several other companies have done this in the past, where they used to have their own manufacturing facility, then they lost it, and then they started using a company in China, a factory in China. And all those companies that have done that so far, all the big ones, have failed. A lot of companies make that their business model, and that's just the way they operate. They create a product and they do things in China and they use whatever factory is available, and that's fine. But the statistic going from having your own fab lab and having your own factory to not doesn't look nearly as good. So I don't know. Are you as worried as I am about this?
It's, well, I mean, we haven't really talked about the particulars of the tablet. It's basically an iPad mini. They're looking at the iPad mini and saying, we like that. And so it's there. They even say that, you know, this is our improvement over the iPad mini. The people that would be interested in the iPad mini, we think that they're going to be interested in our device. Nokia had better have something that's really compelling, because Android tablets at this point are literally a dime a dozen. They had better have something that sets them apart. I don't know that it can be engineering. Maybe it is going to be something that's completely bulletproof, but they'd better have something in software. They'd better have something in hardware to really get any traction. It seems like a silly move, unless they've really got an ace up their sleeve. If they don't have an ace up their sleeve, this is pretty silly. Even emerging markets, you know, so like the emerging market for Android is really big. I don't see this device fitting in the emerging markets either, because it's too expensive and it's too nice. If they're going to have like a $99 price point for this, maybe that would change the game. But
I doubt that.
Really don't think they're going to come in at that price point.
No, I severely doubt that as well. I mean, a Nokia device for $99, not going to happen. I'm sad. I used to like those really, really tough devices they used to make. Oh well. Let's move on and talk about some ISPs, shall we? This has been a big story this week. A man was hit with a $3,000 Comcast bill because he was in breach of his contract, and I'm just going to summarize this quickly. Basically, if you have a business account with Comcast, the fine print says that if you break your term, 1 year, 2 year, whatever it is, you are hit with a large cancellation fee. He moved to a new place, said, hey, I want to keep my Comcast service. And he called Comcast and said, hey, I'm moving over here across town or whatever, and I want to keep my bill, my Comcast bill. And so Comcast was like, oh, sir, we don't service that location, so screw you. Here's your $3,000 Comcast bill. That's in his terms of service. In my opinion, that's kind of his fault. He kind of should have paid attention to the fine print. But what Comcast does is pretty unreasonable. And because this became a big thing on the internet, Comcast is now giving him his $3,000. He contacted the local news and that sort of thing. So, two bottom lines here. He should have been more careful when he read the fine print. And number two, if you want Comcast to be fair and reasonable and kind of on the side of the consumer, you have to call the local news. You have to go crazy. You have to get your stuff on the top of Reddit, all the way like on the main top of Reddit. You have to create a ton of problems for Comcast and make it look like, and basically make kind of a little public outcry. And then at that point, they're like, oh yeah, we were always the good people. Look what we're going to do. We're going to give you $3,000. Yay, look how good we are. Here, look everybody, look.
We're being the good guy.
Look at that.
It comes down to a commercial agreement. Now, it's really... Okay, so on the one hand, there's contract law and that whole thing and selling your service and blah, blah, blah. But the tiny violin that these ISPs have been playing is that bandwidth is a finite resource.
Oh, God.
Let's talk about how this works with leasing office space. So let's say you go downtown and you lease an office. You lease an office, for 2 years. Well, you break your lease in a year and you move out. The tenant's left, the landlord's left holding the bag. Now, if someone else rents that space, the amount of harm that the landlord can claim is dramatically diminished. In fact, it's probably just the hassle of dealing with, somebody that's moving in. Basically, it's if you're paying $2,000 a month or whatever, and it costs $100 to move somebody in, the person that broke their lease and moved out would be liable for the $100. They're not liable for the rest of the year, the lease. And the reason for that under the law, at least in America and most countries, I think it's this way in the UK as well, is that you didn't have two offices to rent. You were only ever going to get income from the one office that you had for rent. And so if somebody breaks their lease and moves out and you can't find somebody to rent it for a year, then maybe. But if you find somebody to rent it, then that's another deal. If this is a guy working at home and he had a business class connection, I don't know, it's a little sketchier. But if it was somebody's residential address and somebody moves in and signs up for cable internet service, are they really harmed? No, they're not really harmed. So I really wish that would get fleshed out a little bit more. If we had an FCC that was on the ball, those kind of things would be happening, but it's just not the case.
Well, I mean, and it's pretty much a guarantee that if someone else moves into that location, they're going to have Comcast, because guess what? In the USA, you don't have a fucking choice.
Well, I mean, they could go with DSL or 4G, but,
yeah.
The level of harm there does not equal number of payments left in the contract times, whatever. That's just not how that works. And they would like you to believe that that's the case, but that's not the case. Now, if they ran fiber to that guy's internet and it really was like some sort of special business lease line, then they might have given him free installation in exchange for a term contract. And, maybe contract law applies there. But these souped up, like, quote unquote, business class cable modems, it's a crock. And this type of maneuvering does not cost them anything if you lose service or change service or whatever. There's no extra build-out cost. There's nothing really that they have to do other than make sure that you've got enough signal. Yeah, it's
the same service.
They
wire. Just a different title on the paper. Yeah.
Oh, and the FCC really should be like, oh yeah, if you had to run a fiber optic cable special, then you can recover build costs. But if it's just part of the normal wiring that you have to do anyway, then stop that. Stop lying and misleading, you sociopathic crazy people.
Yeah, and it's what's even funnier sometimes if you call them, like I was uploading a lot of videos, and I called and said, hey, I'm having a little trouble, my upload speed is kind of low, and the response is like, well, sir, you know if you're going to upload that much, you really should get a business service. And I'm like, well, what's the difference in the wiring? And they're like, well, it's just a business service. If you're doing stuff like uploading, you shouldn't be doing that much, and you shouldn't expect it to perform very well, so you need to get a business service. I'm like, but I would still be having the same problems, because it's the same, oh God, it's the same connection. You just want more money. Now that you know that I'm doing a lot, You're like, hey, we can get more money out of this guy. He does a lot of stuff with his internet. He needs it. Let's extort him.
You need some protection money for your packets, otherwise something's going to happen to him.
I noticed the bridge was getting a little shaky. I wouldn't want your packets to, maybe fall off the bridge. Yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about something else. The FCC has been calling AT&T's bluff. This is kind of interesting. So AT&T is, pretty much stopping all their investment in fiber because they're upset about the whole net neutrality thing. They're like, hey, if this net neutrality is going to be a thing, then fiber's not going to be good for us anyway. And they're upset about all kinds of things. So they're being babies. So what the FCC did actually here was something pretty cool. They told AT&T that they better show in writing how they would be damaged, or how it would be not damaged, not even damaged. They just want to know how fiber deployment would be unprofitable. So that's pretty fun. That'll be interesting to see what AT&T comes up with. I'm sure it'll make a great Rant 30 segment. AT&T, I cannot wait.
They're going to come back with something ridiculous like, in order for us to make money on the fiber build-out, we're going to need to deploy cameras to everybody that signs up so that we can spy on them. And that Amazon Echo thing, yeah, we're totally doing that. You're going to have that, but it's going to be AT&T. You're not going to be allowed to have Amazon, because if our fiber detects the Echo thing trying to call home, that's not going to be allowed, because you agreed that because our awesome super mega service that's the gigabit fiber, you have to have all these other terrible things. And it's like, oh, we totally wouldn't act sociopathically like that. And it's like, well, AT&T's already doing that on the mobile side with their super undeletable cookie that's added to all of your unencrypted traffic. So yeah, they totally would do that.
Wait a minute, I've got the best idea ever. And all you guys, all you executives out there for the different ISPs, listen to what I'm going to say. Right now, here's what you need to do. You need to charge everyone for this miraculous new upgrade that's kind of like the Amazon Echo, but you need to put a speaker system in every single room in the house, including the bathroom, the bedroom, and the closet. Every room must be bugged. You put them in there, they're always on, and then you tell people that you're selling them a wonderful service that's like Echo, that they can talk to the ceiling. You listen to them all the time, and then you collect marketing data on that, and then on top of that you implement bandwidth caps just like a mobile phone, and you charge for all the bandwidth that's coming from the device that you installed. It's freaking genius. So half the bandwidth normally is going to be coming from the stupid device you installed. You're charging them to install the device. You're making money on the bandwidth cap. And then when they go over their monthly usage, set it low. Set it nice and low. And say that that's like the average. So when the power users go over, you can hit them with $10 per 50 gigabytes. It'll be great. You guys will make a ton of money. Send me a check. I'm your new consultant. There we go. They're taken care of. Oh, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move on. What else do we have to talk about here? Oh, yeah, there's more FCC stuff going on. The whole local internet thing, there's a big fight for that. The FCC has weighed in, but I think this has already happened, but a while back. I'm not sure why it's in the news again. But, Tom Wheeler has been telling all the different ISPs that these local laws that they're lobbying for, what they're doing is they're, like in North Carolina, there's a bunch of different towns like Wilson, North Carolina, they're getting their own fiber that's really fast, and it's not Comcast, it's not Time Warner. So Comcast and Time Warner are lining the pockets of the local politicians, and they're putting up walls and barriers and making it illegal for towns to expand their fiber, expand their internet. FCC Chairman Tom Wheeler stepped in and he's like, listen, these state laws are in conflict with federal laws, and that's not cool. He hasn't done anything about it though. That's the problem. He's just said, hey, listen, we might step in, but we're gonna really be careful before we step in. What's the exact quote is he said, I recognize that federal preemption is not a step to be taken lightly without careful consideration of all the relevant legal and policy issues. Meaning, hey, listen, I'm sounding cool again, and I'm pretending to be on the side of the people, and I'm watching you guys. Give me some more money. And I'm not doing anything right now, but that's pretty much it. He never does anything. Wheeler never does a damn thing. He just talks and talks and talks and always makes it sound like he's on the side of the people and says things that make it sound like he's being tough when he's making backroom deals and getting as much money as he can.
Actions speak louder than words.
It's kind of freaking disgusting.
I mean,
Really disgusting.
all he has to do to win my trust is act reasonably. Not
Once. Just once.
No blustering, no words, just a silent nod, a meeting of the eyes, and and then it's sort of handled. But all this talk is like it's vaguely familiar. And so there's a link in the description to the Telecommunications Act of 96 from the original 1996 post on fcc.gov. And so the one sentence, I mean, I know we're beating on a 96, I know we're beating on a dead horse here, guys, but, bear with me. It's like,
we need, you know what we need to do? We need to cast a resurrection spell on the dead horse. That's what needs to happen.
And then we can beat the beat the undead horse, the undead horse of enlightenment. The one sentence summary of this is the goal of this new law, meaning the 96 Telecommunications Act, is to let anyone enter any communications business, to let any communications business compete in any market against any other. It's like, well, what does that mean? Well, the chairman at the time, let me pull this up here. The FCC chairman at the time was, his name was Reed E. Hunt. And he had a comment, like he has actually this pretty long letter. It's linked on that page. It's the statement of Reed E. Hunt, chairman of the Federal Communications Act on July 18th, 1996. There's all kinds of really good stuff there, and it's a really good read. You guys should go read that if you're interested in that. But if you skip down to the demonopolizing the local exchange part, he really drives it home exactly what he means there with the 96 Telecommunications Act. So it says, the act reflects a bipartisan consensus that deregulating and introducing competition into America's largest monopolized markets offers numerous potential benefits for consumers, business users, communications companies, and the economy as a whole. In a few weeks, we will publish rules for interconnection under Section 251 of the Act. Okay, so here we are in 2014, and the chairman is talking about changing the law to open up local competition. So you'll forgive me if I'm somewhat skeptical.
All right, let's go. There are some initiatives here to. This is, I'm gonna kind of complain about this a little bit. This made it. This has been around the web, made it really high on Reddit. A website called freetheweb.us, and it's a really good idea. There's a petition here you can sign, and they're going to collect your email address and all that sort of thing, and then send you a bunch of emails about, hey, do stuff, which I've almost become numb to these things. It's like, hey, I feel like they're just collecting my email address. But when you click on the idea here on the website, there's just not much there. And I'm not sure why this is getting so much press, because there's nothing going on. It's a good idea. It's saying, hey, we really want local internet to do good things, and we want to help spread local internet, and we're going to sign a petition to help all these things. But there's not much else going on here on this website. So I think we need some serious initiatives. I'm not saying this isn't serious, but we need some serious initiatives that have some backing and that can actually get some things done, because this just seems to me like a pretty website that everyone's linking to right now.
The only option, honestly, for those of you in the audience, the only option for us is for you guys to enter politics. As crazy as that sounds, our only option is to fix it from the inside. Guys, we're going to have to put on our overalls, and we're going to have to put on our waders, and we're just going to have to go in and fix it from the inside, because it's, we need to come up with, we should do a screenplay of this and not call it The Fantastic Journey, but something about the horrifying colonoscopy or something. I don't know. Something very bad. And that's because there's no, this has been going on since 96. This is nothing new. And you guys, a lot of you guys are tired of hearing it, but we're going to keep bringing it up because it's important. But if you guys really want to fix it, the only way to fix it is from the inside. And with the FCC and that kind of thing is good. America just had elections, and the Republicans now have more power than the Democrats. It's our, lame duck president. I think I mentioned that last time. But we've gone from one Congress critter with programming experience to 3. So we'll see how that materializes in terms of benefit and or understanding technology, and not trying to stuff that genie back in the lamp through any means necessary.
Well, I think they're going to be really busy with this new Congress. I'm pretty sure the first order of business is to make it illegal for scientists to have any position on advisory boards about the environment and that sort of thing. That's probably the first thing they're going to do. I'm not joking. This is from the news. This is something they're trying to do, make it illegal for scientists to participate on advisory boards because scientists can monetarily benefit from releasing papers and articles and things like that based upon this stuff. So it's a conflict of interest.
Now the precious snowflakes are on advisory boards. This is not going to end well.
Yeah, we've got all the people that that you should address by saying bless your little heart. They're going to be the ones on the advisory board. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about hardware. I'm getting tired of all this terrible things. All this terrible things. See, my grammar's gone. It's bad. All these terrible things. All right, so remember we talked about Zalman's parent company getting involved in some fraud conspiracy thing. Well, we reported that they were going bankrupt because that was the report that we were reading on the internet. And right now, Zalman has addressed this, and they're saying, listen, our parent company, yeah, they were involved in a $3 billion fraud conspiracy. We didn't have anything to do with it. We're not going bankrupt, but we are hurting right now. So that's kind of their position. It's kind of like, well, we didn't do anything. Our parent company, they did something bad. We didn't do anything, and we're not going bankrupt, but ow, man, ow, it hurts. So that's cool. I don't know. I've got like Zalman they were the mighty company back in the day, you know. I don't feel like they're at their spot anymore, but you know, they remember back in the day they made the cooling units and stuff. So when you went to buy a cooling unit, you were like, let's get the Zalman, man. So the mighty have fallen, but I'm hoping they haven't hit the ground. I'm rooting for them. That's just me though. I don't know. All right, let's talk about Intel. They've lost a lot of money on their mobile division, like over $1 billion in Q3. Who knows what they're going to lose in Q4, if they lose anything in Q4. But, you know, their computing division, it makes money, like $4 or $5 billion a quarter. So what they've decided to do is merge the mobile and the PC group because they feel like, you know, the devices are all becoming kind of the same thing now. So they want to put everything under one roof. And, yeah, there you have it. Maybe... I don't know what this could mean. It could mean that Atom processors go away. It could mean that they focus more on ARM processors. I mean, the ARM stuff right now is just kind of spanking their x86 stuff as far as the market goes, not as far as performance go in all applications, in a lot of applications. But, I mean, Qualcomm is just eating their freaking lunch right now. And Samsung is doing really well as well. I mean, some of these companies are just way bigger than Intel when it comes to the mobile unit. I don't know. Is there any insights into this, Wendell, that you think you could... What do you foresee happening here?
The reason those companies are larger is because those processors are in absolutely everything that is vastly way less expensive. I kind of think Intel's sort of eating their own market here a little bit because... So they're getting ready to also come out with new thumb-sized PCs. There was a thing that happened in the late 90s, early 2000s. Microsoft was a big part of this. And you were going to carry around basically a storage device, and it was generic enough that you could plug in at work, you could take it home, and, you know, that would be your stuff, all of your, you know, this is before the internet was fast enough and cloud this, that, and the other. And you would carry this device around, and, you know, wherever you were, you could plug it in, and then all of your stuff would be there. So if you needed a video editing rig, you could take it, and you could go and you plug it in, you're good to go, blah, blah, blah. Well, and so we know Broadwell's coming out. Broadwell is going to be, you know, basically like Haswell. So with the Haswell, not Haswell E, but Haswell from before, Haswell versus Ivy Bridge 4-core part, really not any faster instructions per clock, but it was dramatically lower power usage. And so now we're going to move to Broadwell. Well, Broadwell's the same deal. Broadwell's not going to be any faster, but it's going to be dramatically reduced power consumption in the mobile market, and that's coming up, and, you know, there's nothing official on that yet, blah, blah, blah.
And better throttling technology. You got to have that throttling.
Yeah, probably better throttling technology. Maybe if there's a desktop part, there'll be more overclocking headroom. But for an average Joe, normal people that are going to be working with Intel, you can get by with fewer devices. I mean, if you have a Surface Pro 3, Surface Pro 3 all in all is a really impressive device. Surface Pro 3 with a dock, is in terms of like a daily driver for most people, you could actually use it as a tablet and a laptop and a work machine, and that's not entirely unreasonable. 2 or 3 more generations of hardware, and that may be the norm. So instead of everybody owning 2 or 3 or 4 computers, maybe everybody just owns 1 or 2, and those are going to be those are going to be Intel processors because they have to be for application compatibility. But at the same time, you've got Linux absolutely taking over the universe, and they will happily run Linux on, Qualcomm, Snapdragon, that sort of thing. And those CPUs are popular in Android tablets and Android devices. And so is it getting to a point where you would have an Intel x86 CPU in your phone? Is the power utilization low enough? Would there be a compelling reason to do that? It's like, well, if you get back to that, deck of cards analogy that Microsoft had where they had their storage device, maybe you carry your phone around and dock it and turn it into a PC. That happened with Android a couple generations ago, and that was actually pretty popular. That was almost commercially viable. It didn't quite take off as much as Motorola expected because they had the HDMI dock and that kind of thing, but they learned a lot of really interesting things from it, and there is a market for that out there. It's just not a big one yet.
Speaking of small stuff like that, this is a little different, but Intel is also planning their thumb-sized PCs right here. And they look just like a lot of the Android devices that are already out. You plug it into the back of your monitor, the back of your TV, and it essentially makes those devices smart. The difference is this is not ARM, it's x86, probably be a uber low power Atom, or maybe the next generation of whatever they come up with under this, new everything under one roof type thing. So I feel like this is another device that's kind of been done, and I'm not sure how it can benefit from having x86 other than the fact that it can run a few different programs. I just don't know. I mean, it seems like the ARM stuff's kind of got that on lockdown. Unless they really have something innovative up their sleeve with this one. But the information we have now doesn't seem so. But who knows? All right, ready to talk about some science stuff?
Yay, science.
Only got a couple science articles this time. There's a really interesting new water bottle here. And it's called the Frontis system. Now, what's cool about this is it uses, I guess, just wind that passes over it. And then it uses a condensing structure to sort of, this condensing structure, a solar heated element, and that produces condensation, which filters into the bottle, and that'll produce maybe 17 ounces of water. I believe that's every hour. So that's enough to sustain someone on a bicycle who's riding around doing stuff. But the big applications are here on the map. As you can see, there's several parts in the world where there are severe droughts going on. This could help to extract some water straight from the air. Good enough of these things, nice. We can lower global humidity. Maybe they make it nice in Miami again. Yeah, good clean
water.
Very cool technology here. It seems like somebody would have looked at an air conditioning unit years ago and just said, there's a lot of damn water dripping off that there air conditioner, Jim. Why don't we put it in a bottle and sell it? That's a pretty good idea. Where's that water coming from? Oh, no. Maybe it's coming from air. You're crazy. Couldn't be. It's magic water. They bottle it, magic water, $1 million. Why didn't they think of that before? Magic water. Anyway.
Magic air water.
The magic air water. Let's take a look at this giant Japanese Atlantis, essentially. So, in Japan, they're thinking about making these huge, kind of spherical colonies that hold about 5,000 people. And they float in water, and basically they can roam around. It's pretty crazy looking. It's 500 meters or 1,500 feet across. Have hotels, houses, whatever you want. And yeah, basically just float around. The interesting thing is if the seas get rough or something bad happens, it could submerge. And I would always be, if I lived there, I would always be worried about a breach or something, you know. But I don't know. It could be an interesting place for tourism, number one, and also for people who just want to live in a different environment, people who love marine life. I don't know. It could be pretty interesting. I don't know. I would visit one. I wouldn't live there, but I would visit one. What were you saying?
It would be sort of fun to visit. I think we were finally entering Acropolis technology from SimCity. It's like, I'm always looking for, are we building Acropolises yet? Because that was always the last thing that you could get in SimCity. It's like, this is kind of like an Acropolis.
Now's the next version of SimCity. They've got to figure out, like what's after the Acropolis so that can be there. Because it's like, Acropolises and then SimCity, that's boring. We've already got them in Japan, who cares?
SimCity after Maxis is dead to me.
Yeah. Sad. Thanks, EA.
Nothing but Tropico for me, thanks.
I couldn't get into that one. I don't know. Maybe I'll find something else later. Endless Legend, that's the one that I've been playing lately. But that's more of a turn-based Civ style game instead of SimCity. Anyway, let's talk about Nvidia's brand new style of anti-aliasing, MFAA. So now that we've got MSAA, which was just a complete performance hog. It looked pretty good, but it was a performance hog. And now we've got MFAA, and this is another NVIDIA-specific technology. And this one, what they're trying to do here is improve upon, just improve upon the way it looks just a little bit. They're saying that they hope that MFAA looks about like MSAA when you compare 4x MSAA to 2x MFAA, but it should have not as much of a hit. So far in the benchmarks, the hit is like, it's a few frames per second faster. That's not good enough for me. And I don't know, I guess my big problem here is that, you've got all this nonsense. You've got TXAA and MFAA and FXAA, which is garbage. So it's TXAA is complete garbage. It blurs the entire image. MSA is the best NVIDIA technology. MFAA seems to be a better one. But what about an SMAA? That thing that Crytek made that's free and that anyone can use it, and it can be injected into any game very easily. You don't have to do a bunch of junk. The developers don't even need to really write any of their own code. It'll just work. And that's kind of what they're doing with MFAA. It'll just kind of work as long as the drivers support it. But I think it's funny that NVIDIA seems to not really like SMAA, even though it's also way better for performance. It looks the best, it's got the best performance, and it's open source. But there's that word that NVIDIA just hates, open source. NVIDIA, why do you hate open source so much? Why?
We've had a few developers basically tell us, this is unsubstantiated, of course, but we've had a few developers basically tell us that because SMAA is a good standard and works really well, whether you have an AMD card or an NVIDIA card, it is frowned upon if you're getting NVIDIA-sponsored development for your game. And so if anybody has any smoking gun agreements where it is actually NVIDIA giving your company money in exchange for disabling SMAA, let us know. Because you've seen the Skyrim vids, right? And you've seen all the stuff that we've had on the channel. There are many games you can get an SMAA injector, and we should probably do a video that's just like, check out all the games you can do an SMAA injector. So you can forcibly enable SMAA after the fact in a lot of games that's better than the SMAA that you can turn on just in the control panel. Like, you can go in the control panel for your video card and force SMAA on, but it doesn't have as much information about the scene to do the SMAA anti-aliasing, and it's better if you force it on at a lower level. And so with DirectX, you can actually do that. And with Skyrim, there are some mods to do that. And you've demoed those, and it does look insanely way better, and there's no performance hit.
Yeah, the thing that I usually use is a whole suite of different things called Suite Effects, and you can download several different Suite Effects settings that work with the E and Bs out there. This is probably too much for most users, but if you guys want to, you can inject it into your games, and it does a much better job. The Suite Effects works with lots of different games, so you can, if you've got a game that you like a lot, you can just sit down and type Suite Effects, it's one word, into Google, and see if there's a package specifically for your game. Like Suite Effects for Grand Theft Auto, I believe there's a few packages for that, and for Max Payne 3, there's a few for that. So you can go out there and get some different settings, and there's people make like different effects packages and that sort of thing, but SMAA is a part of that. You can get just the SMAA only usually as well, and inject that into your games. But yeah, it does hit your frame rate. This is not like the magic like 0 FPS loss type thing. It hits your frame rate, but it looks better than MSAA, and it doesn't nearly hit your FPS as hard as MSAA, especially if you're using an AMD card. And so that's why we want someone out there, if you're a developer or something and you know something, because we suspect something at this point, because it just seems odd that every game that I've recently played, almost every game, most of the ones that have the NVIDIA logo in the beginning, you go into the option, and it's like, well, where's the SMAA, man? I don't see it. I would like to enable that. That'd be nice. I'd rather use that than MSAA. But MSAA makes NVIDIA cards, it does pretty good on NVIDIA cards, and it's pretty bad on an AMD card. So just seems a little fishy to me is all. And I use NVIDIA cards in my system, so even with NVIDIA cards, I still want to use SMAA. All right. It's probably enough on that.
SMAA is by far the best option from a technical standpoint for low penalty.
Now, right now, I'll say this, guys. SMAA is the only legit form of AA out there. It's coming from my mouth. The rest of them are all kind of whatever. All right, let's move on here. And, you know, the deal's on, posted a thread here where they've got a pretty good deal on Far Cry 4. And, you know, there's a bunch of outcry here in the comments about, like, you know, Logan says don't buy their games. We shouldn't buy their games. And then I started thinking, you know what? Far Cry 4 looks like they've done a better job on PC. But at the same time, Ubisoft seems to hate PC gamers. So should we support that company if they make a game that's somewhat decent? I mean, there's still some problems on the PC. This is a console game that's been ported over. That is obvious. There's a few more effects on the PC. There's an FOV slider, as long as you didn't pirate the game. There is, you know, there's it's a better experience on PC, but there's still some severe stuttering and hitching as new textures load in, and I guarantee you that's because it's a console game. Skyrim has the same problem when you're, you know, severe texture pop and severe hitching as different textures load into memory. It's really bad. When you play a game that's a straight up PC game, like the Ethan Carter game that just came out that's Unreal Engine, you can run all over that game, and I've seen no stuttering, no hitching. It looks 100 times better than Skyrim, and I'm getting like 100 FPS all the time. It's unbelievable. So when a game is made specifically for the PC, it does a much better job. And so I guess I'm kind of for the whole, like, you know, until these companies get their head out of the ass and realize that the PC is a viable platform and that, you know, they should develop games for PC gamers, I'm kind of like, I don't want to support them, but I do want to play Far Cry 4. It's like this dilemma, you know, like, kind of want to play it, but I'm kind of sick of their shit. I don't know. I want to know more from you guys.
I thought the Dragon Age Inquisition, I think it was Hot Hardware, did the side-by-side with the consoles and
looks like the same,
PC.
right?
And Dragon Age on the PC was noticeably better, a lot more detailed, higher FPS, a lot better features than on the consoles. That said, the consoles really didn't look bad. Xbox One, the graphics I thought were a little muddled. A little muted and kind of strange because I was not expecting that, but overall they were pretty close. But on the PC side, things were a lot sharper, things were a lot more detailed. The shadows, especially the detail in shadows and how the shadows and lighting effects were, like when you would see an animation, I thought looked better on Dragon Age for PC than on PS4.
You know, I generally try to follow the individual developers. You know what I mean? Like, what's his name? Ansel. Is he the guy that created Rayman and Beyond Good and Evil? Is that his name? Michel Ancel. Is that his name? Michael Ancel. I don't know. He's French. He makes really, really good games. I love the Rayman games. They're a ton of fun. They are published by Ubisoft. So I'm still going to support him. I can't not support him. I like the games he makes. But as for the rest of it, I feel like yeah, there's plenty of indie games that'll hold my attention. I'm going to let Far Cry go, and I'm not going to play it. That's it. So let me know what you guys think. Some people are like, you know, Ubisoft is Satan. We should boycott everything. But I know there's a lot of guys out there who are playing Far Cry 4 right now. How do you guys feel? How much abuse is okay? A little abuse on games like Assassin's Creed, but you know, a little love on Far Cry 4. Maybe we should support it. Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, let's go ahead.
I really enjoyed Dragon Age and Dragon Age 2, but EA broke the camel's back. I'm not buying EA again.
It's really, really sad. All right, speaking of something you guys should check out, Thimbleweed Park. If you guys remember Maniac Mansion, we're talking to the older audience members, I believe, at this point. The same guys from Maniac Mansion are making a new click adventure, and the graphics are very similar to the original Maniac Mansion. Even the system here on the bottom, let me show you the system for interaction and everything looks just like the old Maniac Mansion. Like, it's scary how similar this is. In fact, I thought they would maybe modernize it a little bit more than this, but they're trying to stay true to the roots. So yeah, it's the spiritual successor to Maniac Mansion, and it looks like it's going to reach its goal. $250,000 so far out of the $375,000 that they're looking for. I think they're going to meet it. So yeah, we'll see a new click adventure from those guys pretty soon. It'll be fun. I don't know. You looking forward to that one?
I think so. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm still eyeball deep in Shattered Pixel Dungeon on my phone, but click adventures are always good.
Shattered Pixel Dungeon. I haven't played that.
It's a really dumbed down version of Rogue for the phone, but it's stupid fun.
Interesting. Well, this is so glorious, Wendell, that it needs to be full screen. The Skywind, this is the official development video number 3, and it's looking really good. But there's still a lot of stuff to be done. Oh, we got to do this in 1080. There we go. Still a lot of stuff to be done, but man, the different areas are looking nice. I think they're about halfway finished as far as filling in assets and that sort of thing, but they still need some people who are good at scripting. They say that they're pretty good right now. When it comes to voice acting, if you're really, really good and have all the right equipment, you can still contact them, but they're pretty good for now. They also need a little bit of help with just, if you know 3D programs, animation, that sort of thing. They do need a lot of help. So, it's coming along at a good pace, and it looks really, really awesome. But there's a lot to be done. You can see they've even gone in and, recorded tons of extra music. I highly recommend that you guys go check out this video. It is looking really good. And if you don't know what Morrowind is and you like the Elder Scrolls series, well, you need to go just play Morrowind, even if you play it vanilla. I mean, there's some really awesome texture mods and stuff, but yeah, Morrowind is the best Elder Scrolls game. There's no arguing there. So yeah. Anyway, go check out the video. All right, let's talk about piracy for just a second, because there's a couple different ways that major companies are handling piracy. One is Far Cry 4 here, and you can see here one of their higher-ups tweeted, "PC players, if you're online complaining about the lack of FOV control, you pirated the game." So the initial release of Far Cry 4 came out with no FOV slider, and then they released a day one patch that gave you an FOV slider. Even though that was kind of shitty, it didn't have like a number on it. It was just a slider. Don't know what it does. It just slides around. But anyway, there is an FOV slider, and a lot of people were going online and complaining like, "This is a stupid console game. There's no FOV slider." And then the higher ups at at freaking what the hell's that company, Ubisoft, were quick to point out that those were pirates. So they're trying to shame the pirates and also point fingers and be like, "You idiots." That's one way to handle piracy, to remove features or release or leak a version of the Pirate Bay that's like shitty in some way, or doesn't reward the piracy. The other way here is this War of Mine. So this game came out recently, this War of Mine, from 11-Bit Studios, and it's a very interesting game where you play people who are basically caught up in a war zone. So because the war affects those people as well, and they wanted to bring you a game from that perspective, and it looks really interesting. It's getting some interesting reviews. I picked it up and I haven't had enough time to play it yet, but their tactics were completely different. They jumped onto the Pirate Bay and they found the game there it was. People were posting it on there, and they wrote a little letter here that basically said like, "Hey, it's really awesome that you guys like our game this much. Thank you guys for checking it out. If you have money, please support the developer." They didn't say if you have money. They're like, remember to support your developers and that sort of thing. And, to make this easier for you guys, if you guys want it on Steam, here's 10 Steam keys. And they just dropped 10 Steam keys for this like $20 game or whatever right there in the Pirate Bay. And I looked at it and I was like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. I mean, they're gonna download a DRM-free version of it anyway, but I think what they're thinking here is like the audience is going to look at this, and the people pirating it are going to look at this, and they're going to be like, "Damn, that is a cool company," and maybe they'll either number one feel guilty. I mean, I don't think when people pirate like an Ubisoft game, I think a lot of times they're like, "You know what? I really want to play this game, and Ubisoft is dumb, so screw them. I'm going to pirate it just to piss them off, and just because they suck and all that stuff." And I'm not saying I'm for or against that, but I am saying here I think this is going to make people go like, "Wow, those guys are really cool. You know what? I like developers like this. Maybe I'm going to go and actually buy the game. Maybe I'll buy a DRM-free version on Good Old Games or something." So this may end up turning out to be a good move. It could be a publicity stunt, and it just could make people look at them in a different way and want to support them. So I'll be interesting to hear how successful their sales are after this happened. Could be cool. I don't know. And then the audience is like, "Wow." I don't know. I hopped onto one of these torrent websites when Zweihander was on there, and I was joking around with him. I just posted, "I see you," And I thought it was funny, but some people took it seriously, and they're like, "Wow, that's messed up, man." And I was like, it was a joke, you know? But some people didn't get it. This would have been a better thing. I should have gone on there and been like, "Oh, here's 10 serial numbers or whatever for all you guys who literally don't have $3, because that's how much the thing cost. It was like $3. If you guys are so poor, man, you don't have $3, I'm gonna hook you guys up with some music, so maybe that'll make you happy." Because I wouldn't be very happy if I didn't have $3. I'd be like, damn, this is rough. I got to get a job or figure out something or sell my couch. I don't know. Anyway, that was a rant. It's got to be this with a combination of like mild head cold, probably. I'm just making excuses. Yeah. All right. I don't know. Which of those ways do you think is the most interesting way to deal with pirates? Shaming them, or going on there and being sympathetic and handing out some Steam keys? What do you think?
I don't know. It's really, I don't know. I could see an argument for going either way. I don't think it's a good idea. Some games are laden with malware. I mean, way back, probably 5 or 10 years ago, the pirated software was actually a lot of the time higher quality than the actual release. Like, it was packaged a lot nicer. And a lot of the games did not have intros. Like, you double clicked on the icon to play the game, and you were playing the game. And now it's like I sit down and I go to Steam and I launch something, and it's like 20 minutes later, it's like, Jesus Christ, just let me play the game. And I have to go and figure out what file I have to delete or modify or something so I don't get 12 logos when the thing starts up. It's just so frustrating. And things like that is like, it makes me not want to buy the game or buy used or something like that. I really miss the days of being able to buy PC games used. I really enjoyed that, especially when I was younger. That was great. We have the Steam sale now, which is not bad, but there are a lot of games that are not on Steam. So, I mean, piracy is, in my mind, not as much of a problem as it once was, and the publisher response to piracy has gotten even more over the top. I think Steam is a reasonable solution. It's not the best solution. There are some serious drawbacks. I wish it were better, but the reality of piracy and that kind of thing, I can be pragmatic. I mean, it's not completely terrible, but Uplay and the other one are completely over the line. Just
the other one, Origin, the Origin. Crappy one.
Yeah, those are completely over the line. That's just not acceptable.
The platform for which we shall not name.
Yeah, it's really abusive with your machine, and I don't appreciate that. You pretty much are relegated to running these games in a virtual machine and then passing through your hardware, which is a perfectly fine strategy. It's just a pain in the butt.
Yeah. All right. There's a new game I wanted to take a look at. Ghost in the Shell is one of my favorite anime movies of all time, and it looks like they are making an FPS. This is in Korean, I believe, but I'm just kind of excited for it. I've been looking forward to an interesting game like this for a while. So I don't know if it's going to be any good or not, but I do enjoy the universe. I quite enjoy cyberpunk things as well, and I don't know. It had a good plot. I don't know. You ever seen Ghost in the Shell, the original movie?
Yeah.
Way back. When did that come out? 1995 or something? I don't know. I think so.
Yeah, it's been a while.
A while back. One of my favorites. Actually, it was when it came out one of my favorite movies of all time. And I'm not even a huge follower of anime and that sort of thing. I'm not I don't know every show that's out and that sort of thing, but I do like a lot of the anime movies, especially the ones that are more cerebral, like this one. This doesn't look very cerebral. It looks like, hey, maybe it's a somewhat intelligent FPS, but I don't know. It looks interesting. I'll be happy to play it.
Let's blow stuff up. Yeah. It's fine.
Why not?
I thought the art direction on this looks pretty good so far. If this is actual gameplay footage, I'm sort of impressed with the art direction here. It's got just just a hint of cell shading, I think, which really gives it sort of an interesting look.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of remember the Syndicate FPS that came out a couple of years ago that wasn't that good?
Oh, yeah.
It vaguely reminds me of that. Just a little, but maybe a little Deus Ex in there as well, but no, it's still kind of Ghost in the Shell. Anyway, that's pretty much all we got to talk about today. Again, keep checking out the store. Now that the holidays are here, we're going to put some new items in there. And I always want to know what you guys want in the store. I usually just put stuff in there that I kind of want to wear. I'm like, you know what, I kind of want a jacket like this, or I kind of want a bag, a backpack, or I kind of want a t-shirt like this. So that's usually what I, you know, it's kind of an excuse to like, hey, I can make an item that I really want and then share it. But keep letting us know what you guys want to see in the store, and maybe we can get it in there for you. You know, anything. Just let me know. I'm having fun with it now. It's like, oh, this is fun. We can just kind of put stuff in there. Anyway. All right, so that's it. Cheers, and be sure to post questions, especially for the inbox episodes. We got some of those we're getting ready to shoot. So be sure to post some inbox questions for us, and we'll see you guys in the forums.
And if you guys have any questions about the news, like what does this mean, post that in the forum too. Like, I don't understand, because you get good feedback.
We seem to have a pretty damn smart audience. Proud of you guys. You guys are awesome. All right, see you next time.